Bring it in, come on. This is Scars and Cars. Hi, I'm Forrest Hamlet Brown. You know how people say they were born to do something? Well, I was born into the car business. And my favorite car is my first car, and it's right there, 70 Mustang Mach 1.
Injury years ago has kept me from doing the things I love. I'm better now, and my scars tell my story. Now I search for people who, like me, have an inspirational and sometimes life-changing story to tell, and the scars that remain. So join me as we cruise around in a cool car, listen to a good story, and finally see their scars. This is Scars and Cars. Scars and Cars, brought to you by the Browns family of dealerships. Find them at 4browns.com.
Hi, I'm Forrest Hamlet Brown, and this is Scars and Cars. We got a pretty cool episode today, special because I guess maybe I'm a little special. I don't know. I had an accident a few years ago, and I'm going to talk about it today. I got my brother here with me. This is David Brown.
Hey, Forrest.
Thanks for coming out, David. Appreciate it.
Bet.
You're kind of interviewing me a little bit while we're cruising around. You're going to talk a little bit, but we're in my 1970 Mustang Mach 1. This is one of my favorite cars, and it's my car, so I really like it. David, you know a little bit about this car, don't you?
I know quite a bit about this car. I remember when we got this car from an auction back in about 1984.
Yeah, 70 Mach 1, 351 Cleveland, 4-barrel, originally 4-speed. I put a Tremec 5-speed in it right now. So it's a fun little car. These things are really one of the coolest things. Got the hood pin.
Gotta show off the jewelry box there.
Had it redone a few years ago. I really enjoy driving it though. It's not a trailer queen, it's a driver. I drive this one, so it's a lot of fun, gets a lot of good looks, and it's a handful to drive, but it's a lot of fun. It's got a set of Shelby wheels. I like the wheels. I can't say I love the wheels, but I really like the wheels. I love the black. The car was originally blue, but I painted it black because it was black when I got it. It's got the factory dual tips on it. I love the honeycomb style in the back here with the blackout stripe, the Mach 1, the flip open gas tank here. You might see some of these cars with a spoiler or louver. I like them, but this car didn't have it. Does have the high back bucket seats, the rim blow steering wheel. I love the sound of the door shut.
Pretty nice car we're driving today, Forrest.
Yeah, I've had this car for a little while. It wasn't always this nice, was it?
I don't know. It was pretty nice.
It's a pretty nice car until I crashed it.
If I remember right, we acquired this car at an auction.
Yeah.
And you didn't know anything about it. I don't think you did. Now refresh my memory if I'm wrong.
No, I remember it was there, and I was like, oh, Dad, that's the car. I want that car. I want that car. I want that car.
All right.
And Dad was like, oh, no, put it out there on the lot.
Yep.
So he made me wash it.
Yep.
And I cleaned it up. I put it out on the lot. And I was like, oh, I love that car.
You got to remember, this car was a 1970. So it was 15 years old then. You know,
Yeah.
they weren't real, you know, they were a classic then. It was only 15 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, I always, like a 70 is what I've always gravitated to. I mean,
I agree.
It just does it for me. I mean, a 69 is really good. Even the 68s and 67s. Like a 67 Shelby I really like. I mean, I like a 65 and 66, but, you know, 70 Shelby is like the pinnacle year for me. I know, like, Shelby purists, they may like, that wasn't really built by Shelby. It was built by Ford. And you and I both know that a 70 is really a 69 with stripes and a chin spoiler.
Right. Yeah, that's just crazy that they did that. Outstanding car. One of the premier cars to collect. Very collectible.
Got the rim blow steering wheel,
Mach 1 interior.
high back
console.
buckets. Yeah.
Does
Not have a fold
Does
down,
not.
no.
It's just checking. Does not have a fold down.
Has a shaker hood.
With the black stripe and stealth black stripe.
Yeah. So the purists, they would call me out on the black stripe, but you could get a black stripe.
Oh yeah, you could. Most
on a
of them
black
had
car.
black.
Yeah, most cars had black stripes.
Yeah.
You could get a white stripe. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And you could get an argent.
Stripe. And a few of them had the argent scoop.
Yeah, people that might not know what argent is. It's silver, right?
That's yep. Ford called it argent.
Yeah. And the other purists call me out about the red stripe in the seats, because they're like, you couldn't get the red stripe with the black car. You always had to have the gray stripe. And I'm like, I like the red stripe.
I like the red stripe, and I like the red factory floor mats built right into the carpeting.
Yep.
Man.
Okay, so when you were 16, what was I can't remember. What was the first car you were driving?
I was 16.
I mean, you had your 56 pickup.
I had a
I don't
56
think you
pickup.
drove that much, did you?
Not a lot. No, it was always in repair.
Yeah.
But remember, we drove it. Well, I got that truck when I was 11. Remember, we had it in a spot where we could drive it. And when I was 14, you and Dad and I drove it to Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah. I
To
remember
the
that. Street Rod Nationals.
Street Rod
right?
Nationals, yeah. We went and saw Grandma and Grandpa in Chicago.
Yeah.
Stopped on
Yeah,
our
that
way.
was crazy because that truck was like not any wider than this. I remember sitting in the middle.
Yeah, no, that could, and I still have it.
Wasn't there a guy that wanted to trade you a
Yeah.
34 Ford
Yep,
for it?
yes. Yep, 34 Ford sedan.
Yeah, do you wish you had done
No,
it?
no. I love my 56 Ford pickup.
So if you had to only have 3 cars in your collection, what would you have? Not your date. You would not have to have one as a daily driver.
Like what I have in my collection right now.
No, if you could just and money was really not an object. You know, it was.
That's a really hard question. Boy, that's tough. There's so many nice cars. And I can't think of all of them right now. I mean,
So, you know.
you've maybe thought about
Yeah,
this.
I thought about it a little bit. I'd probably, I'm not a huge Mopar guy, but I do like Mopar. I would probably have to have a 71 Cuda convertible. Wouldn't have to be a Hemi, but
Might as well be.
might as well.
Right.
They're only worth, what,
3 million or more.
5 million? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. What color would you get?
I don't know. I like Plum Crazy, but in that car, I like that, what is it, the Sublime? Or,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
With like a billboard stripe on the side.
Yeah. That would be a car that people would take notice. Where I'm coming from in my thought is that car's cloned now.
Yeah.
So if you pull it in and it's real, people have a clone and it has the same appeal. So I'm thinking a car that's, that isn't cloned, that is, just what it is. I'm not quite sure, there's some really rare, obscure, like a, 68 Country Squire wagon with, 428 in it, 4-speed bucket seats.
I like that, but if I only had 3, that would be down my line.
Right. I'm just coming up. I'm not saying that's on my list, but that's how obscure I'd like it to be. Be like, wow. Like Linda, my wife, she's got that 87 Dodge Daytona Shelby.
Yeah.
Obscure. Never. That's not a collectible car, but it's very rare. You don't see them.
Yeah. Now, it's the Shelby Z.
There you
Remember
go.
that. It's a Shelby Z.
Yes. A lot of people don't know that Carroll Shelby signed a deal with Lee Iacocca to come out with a Shelby lineup for Dodge. Had some very interesting cars, Omnis,
Yeah.
Durango,
I think those are
Dakota.
GLCH.
Dakota, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a cool car if you can find one today.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So my other car, that I've always liked is a 70 Cougar convertible. We talk about that one that got away.
One that got away. I was going to bring it up. You beat me to the punch. Wow, look at
Yeah.
there, dog.
We had that. Our dad, or the dealership, owned a 70 Cougar XR7 428 4-speed. Oh, I love that car.
Super Cobra Jet.
Oh,
You thought you loved it. I restored it. I took every bit of that car apart, cleaned it, shined it as original paint. It was midnight blue metallic with the white leather and a white convertible top. That was a very low mileage one owner car that was in the Des Moines Register, where we got all of our cars out of. Des Moines Register, and I even remember what he paid for that car. Do you remember?
no, I know what it sold for.
Oh well, that's good because I don't remember that. But he paid $6,000 for it.
That's what it sold for.
No, it sold for more than $6,000.
Oh, I
no,
was there.
Oh, well, he paid $6,000 for it.
Really?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I got that Cougar, and then I'd either have to have a car like this, 70 Mustang, or a 70 Torino GT, or a Cobra, probably a Cobra. But those are all old cars,
Yeah.
some of these new cars are a lot of fun, but they're a lot easier to drive and
Yeah.
maintain.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuel
Okay, so
injection.
out of all the new cars that you could have, what would you get out of a new car if you could just say,
I think I really messed up. A year ago in Guttenberg, we had that orange Shelby GT350 with the blue stripes that you ordered. And
yeah,
I think I'm going to kick myself for that car.
yeah,
It was the last one. It was our, you
Yeah.
ordered it.
yep,
It was very rare,
yeah,
maybe one of very few built. Orange with blue stripes, your creation. I gotta, commend you. That was thinking outside the box, and I think that car is
yeah.
awesome. I really.
Well, I know
like
the
that
people
car.
that bought it, the really nice customers.
Yeah, that would be I think, since they don't make a GT350 anymore, plus it's the last Shelby so far that's had a manual transmission in it.
Yeah,
I think that's a cool car. Another car that my son George, kept telling me to buy is a Dodge Viper. Last year for Viper, I think was 17. Is that the right year?
yeah. And then when the ARCs, with
Yeah.
we talked about that. I remember you and I had a conversation when that car was getting done, and they had like a $20,000 rebate on them. Do you remember that? I
I don't want to hear it.
I know. And we were like, because you could buy one for, I want to say like 85 grand. And
Yeah.
we're both like, it's way too much money. We can't afford that. But they're
Right.
so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just, never bought it. We'd be broke if we bought all the cars we really should have bought, or wanted to buy.
Oh my gosh.
I'm Forrest Hamlet Brown, and I kind of use the Hamlet part of my name because I'm named after my grandfather. His name was Forrest Hamlet. He was a big part of my life and our family. Really a powerful guy, farmer. I decided to do something like this and came up with the name Scars and Cars because I have a lot of scars myself. I have some pretty good scar stories, and I'm a car guy. I grew up in the car business. Am the second generation car dealer along with my brother, and we took over our dad's car business. My dad started the business in 1964 and was a Ford dealer. way back then, and we've grown now to five dealerships, and it just felt like, you know, I've at the point where I really need to do something. I think there's like a higher power telling me that, hey, Forrest, you need to get your story out, but more importantly, you need to get these other people's stories out there. I just kind of run into people at random, and I've either known them for a while or just kind of meet them, like I said, kind of at random, and I just feel like they have such an amazing story that we need to get it out there and try to inspire people, try to help people. Maybe they're going through something similar. You know, maybe they're having issues and or even just having a bad day. You know, hopefully if people watch Scars and Cars, they get a good feeling from it. They may just want to watch to see the cars, who knows, but maybe they stick around and catch the rest of the story in the interview with our guests and find out what they went through and how they got through it and how they're surviving.
I'm really happy that he's done this. I think it's brought him a lot of joy, and I like to watch the stories. And I feel like you get to know these people almost like you know them. I mean, you get to hear their stories, and it kind of relates back to experiences that I've had personally, and to hear how they trudge right along is pretty inspiring.
We've had some pretty cool stories, some pretty interesting. I don't know if I should say cool, but I think they're cool from the standpoint where our guests, they are survivors. They are truly people that inspire me, and I would hope that they would inspire other people out there in the world. You know, we've been blessed with a lot of good people that we've talked to. Everybody has such a great story, and I hope everybody likes the people that have been on the show. We'll see if this kind of can keep going, if it can gain some traction, and we'll look at a season 3. People are just, they're turned this either illness or injury into a positive thing. And I think I've tried to do that myself, and to be positive about my injury and my outlook, but I just draw from them. You know, I think about what I went through, and it seems very minute to what some of these people have had to gone through and what they have to live with every day. You know, mine is just minor compared to them. That's why I feel it's so important to get these stories out there to people, because they are truly amazing, and they're just survivors and positive. They just inspire me, like I've said. I know I've said it a number of times, but it just is so cool to see what they have been able to get through, and they act like, you know, it's no big deal. I think the scar part of my life has been a constant. You know, hopefully it doesn't, I've kind of slowed down on the scars here. I broke both of my arms before I was 5, just doing crazy stuff. Got a good scar on my eye. My sister almost cut my thumb off when I was like 3 years old. And my mom always tells the story when they took me to the emergency room to sew me up, that they brought in all kinds of nurses and people to hold me down, and the doctor put the first stitch in, and I just looked at the doctor and I just said, ouch. I got a scar on my chin that my mom, I did this when I was playing football in junior high, and my mom will cringe when I tell this, but she said, well, you don't need any Novocaine to get that sewn up. So, and there happened to be an intern that never had sewn up a live person before at the hospital that sewed me up. So, yeah, I've had a number of scar stories, but I probably have 2 or 3 really good scar stories. The first one was I broke my right hip when I was riding a motocross bike back in 2000. That accident slowed me down for a little bit, but it didn't really deter me from riding again. So I rode motocross again after that, and not quite 4 years later, I had a pretty severe accident. It was in April back in '04, and a number of us guys that used to ride together out at our practice track were calling each other, and it was kind of a fun group that we hung out with, and they're like, hey, we're going out to the track, we're going to do some maintenance on the track, get it ready so we can go riding, but bring your riding gear just in case we get done early. Bring your bike, bring your riding gear. Got towards the end of the day, and I wasn't even really thinking of riding, but I had my bike and I had my gear with me. My friend Boris was kind of egging me on. Come on, Forrest, let's go ride, let's go ride. Got on the bike and made 3 laps and was just taking it really easy. Decided on my 4th lap, okay, I'm warmed up, I'm gonna light it up a little bit. So on that 4th lap around the track, I started off, and there was a series of jumps. We call them whoops. And there was a set of 3 whoops that I jumped over, and those whoops, they kind of got a little bit further apart as you went, and so you had to give your bike a little bit more gas as you went through those. So I got to the 3rd one, and on the laps before it, I had cased it, and that's where you kind of hit the case of your bike. You're on top of the jump. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to case this. I'm going to give it my all. And I cracked my throttle in between that 2nd and 3rd jump, and I flew right over it. And I thought, wow, that's great. This is good. I mean, in my mind, I was thinking for a split second, all right, I got this. This is going to be a great year of riding. I'm going to have so much fun. And in that next instant, my bike went to full throttle pegged, wide open. And right after that jump, we had this great big tabletop, nice big jump that you would usually get a lot of speed and sail over. Well, my bike, I wasn't in the best position on the bike. I was too far back on the bike, and that thing just took off on me. And for whatever reason, I should have just jumped off the bike or pulled in the clutch, but I didn't. I thought, oh, I'm gonna ride this out. I was blipping my throttle, thinking that I could get it to come out of for whatever reason, that it was going wide open. And I hit the face of that jump. And like I said, I was not in a very good position to be hitting it. My bike and I just went straight up in the air. And in the air, I decided to what they call throw away the bike. I figured the position that I was in, that the bike was going to land on me. Now, I don't know if that was the right or wrong thing to do, but at the time, that's what I thought to do. So I threw the bike as far away as I could, and I was in the air like this. I couldn't see the ground. I could only see the sky. And I thought to myself, whoa, this is probably gonna hurt when I land, but I should be landing, kind of preparing for the landing now. And then I thought again to myself, I didn't land just yet. I should be landing pretty soon. And at that point, then I hit the ground and was, most of the pressure when I landed was on my left knee. And I then got swung around, and I hit my head, was in full gear, and hit my head and was knocked unconscious. They called the ambulance. Ambulance came out. They did a great job. I remember them putting me on a backboard. And I don't remember much of that ambulance ride, and I don't remember a whole lot when I was at the hospital. And I feel like that was because I had so much adrenaline in me that I was just trying to deal with the pain. But they x-rayed me, and they said it was pretty severe. Well, they told me that I had a broken hip and a broken pelvis. And I thought, well, I didn't know what that meant to have a broken pelvis. So they said, we're gonna have to get you in and have surgery. So I thought, well, they'll just take me down to Dubuque again. And I remember this clearly. The doctor, Dr. Sadler, it was great. She said, no, This is more severe than that.
I was making mints with my best friend for her wedding at our house when I received a phone call that Forrest was in an accident and that the ambulance was picking him up from the motocross track. My mom had had a previous car accident 6 years prior that was very severe, and so I think all of those emotions came back to me, and so I didn't know what to expect. And I think the unexpected is probably the worst feeling that you can have.
We got a phone call from the hospital here in Guttenberg saying that Forrest was in an accident, and thought maybe we should come down to the hospital. And you know, I think my wife was standing right next to her, and me, and we're like, uh-oh, here we go again, because a few years earlier, Forrest had an accident that he broke his hip. And I was like, whoa, I sure hope it's, you know, not as serious as that. It was more serious, and didn't quite realize it. And my wife and I went to the hospital right away, and my wife is also a physician, and she had an opportunity to look at the x-ray, and I just remember her saying, this isn't good.
So they loaded me up with as much painkiller as they could and took me down to Iowa City. And I know when we got close, I was getting pretty ornery. I was telling the driver, get there now.
You know, I followed the ambulance to Iowa City, which was a terribly long ride from Guttenberg. There's no short way or easy way or smooth way to get there.
Got to the emergency room in Iowa City, but they had said that they wanted to put me in traction, put my leg in traction. They had to basically put a screw through my leg while I was conscious and didn't have any painkillers for it. And I just, you know, thought that they'd be bringing out some precise tool to do it, but it was just like a screw that they would put it through. I know my brother had made it down to the hospital at that point.
They're like, we're gonna need to put your leg in traction. And I don't, you know, I'm not familiar with what traction is. I'm thinking, well, they'll probably, you know, put his leg up on a footstool or something and, you know, just support it. And they were talking, you know, about putting this rod through his leg, and I'm like, what does that mean? Pretty soon they've got a drill bit right up to his leg, and they're just going right through it, and I'm like sitting right next to it, and this drill's going right through his leg, and he's like sitting there, you know, like it happens every day.
It didn't really hurt that bad. I was thinking of, you know, like medieval times when they were doing tortures to people, but it really didn't hurt that bad until he got through the muscle and bone and got through to the other side where he was pushing on my skin.
I knew my brother was tough, but at that point, man, he was the toughest guy on planet Earth.
The bottom line is I had to have surgery. They did a great job to put me back together. I was at the hospital there recovering for about a week. After that point, you know, they took me home. My wife, Tina, was there, and, you know, unfortunately, she was pregnant at the time, so, you know, a heck of a time to have a severe accident like this. And we had a daughter who was about to turn 1 too. So, you know, throw this on top of that.
Well, we had a hospital bed in the middle of our living room, and he stayed in the hospital bed most of the time. He would go to a recliner. There he would read to our daughter or play with her, or she would sit on the bed with him. And
I remember my daughter, you know, coming up and, you know, wondering what was going on, but she didn't really quite know. But right the day after her first birthday, my wife had made supper, and I got up and got to the table, and I'd had a little bit of pain that day in my side, and they had this brace on to kind of hold me together because of everything so smashed up down there. Got up and ate and thought, oh, maybe I need to get around a little bit, but seemed really tired. And I sat there and kind of had a little shortness of breath. And I tried to get up from the chair. Just, the chair had arms on it. And first time in my life I've ever had that feeling. I couldn't get up. I didn't have any strength. And I knew something wasn't right. And Tina, my wife, called my sister, who is a doctor. And she happened to be in town. And she came to our house right away. And within about a minute of her initial examination, she was dialing 911. They rushed me down to the hospital in Guttenberg, and that was before the hospital here in town had a CT scan. And so Dr. Sadler, who was getting familiar with seeing me in the emergency room, she happened to be there working that day. And she's like, I think you have blood clots in your lungs, but we can't confirm it till we send you to Dubuque to have a CT scan done. So they load me back up in another ambulance, take me down to Dubuque, and get down there, have a CT scan, and the emergency room doctor I know was talking to my sister at the time, and he's like, yeah, he has 4 blood clots in his lungs. They did that CT scan of my chest, and since the doctor had known that I had a concussion, he wanted to do a CT scan of my head as well. They had gotten me into the area where they were going to do the CT scan. When you can't breathe, you can't talk. So I couldn't talk, I couldn't scream. I was in severe pain when they put me onto the x-ray table. I felt like I was going to pass out, and that's probably the only time I really thought I might die because I can't catch my breath. I can't breathe. I'm in so much pain. Really felt bad right then. So I motioned over the x-ray tech and, took as much energy as I could to say, I can't breathe. And the x-ray tech, it was probably good that she wasn't emotional and didn't get too worked up about it. She just looked right at me and said, this is only gonna take a few minutes. Don't worry about it. So in my own mind, I was chuckling to myself, a few minutes, I might die in a few minutes here, So I took a deep breath, and at that point, I said a prayer. And I'm like, dear God, help me through this. I'm not doing so good here. Please help me. And at that moment, I felt a lot better right after I said that prayer. And I just kind of relaxed, and they did the CT scan, and afterwards they got me on a bed to go to the ICU. And when they got me on that bed, I just felt so much better. So it took me a long time. After that, I spent a week in the ICU and was released after that. Took it pretty easy for the next couple months, and then was able to go back to work after that. When I went back to the hospital for my first follow-up visit, I went down there, drove down there by myself, and I got to the hospital and was, on my way in, and I was feeling kind of sorry for myself. I was feeling like, here I'm never going to be able to run again. I'm never going to be able to enjoy the sports that I used to do. I used to water ski, snow ski, motocross, snowmobile. Those things are probably gone forever, and had these blood clots, and was just really feeling sorry for myself. I went down the elevator to go to where my doctors were located, and I got off the elevator. And when I got off the elevator, there was a young family that was there, and they had their son in a wagon. And this boy, you could tell he was, you could tell that this boy had birth defects and was never ever going to walk. And I thought to myself, how self-centered am I? Feeling sorry for myself. And this poor kid is never going to walk. You know, I've had a lot of good experiences in my life. I've been blessed and was able to do all these things. And this poor little kid, so at that moment, I stopped feeling sorry for myself. It was, again, the timing, and I think the big guy upstairs was saying, you know, knock it off. You've got it pretty good. You've got it pretty easy here. I would like to have people know that, you know, just hang in there. Things generally get better. And just enjoy your time that you have. You know, don't get so bogged down with the day-to-day things. Just, you know, pick out something to enjoy and try to live your life to the fullest that you can with the cards that you're dealt. And, you know, I always try to kind of wrap things up by saying a quick prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for all the gracious gifts that you have given to me, and I ask that you please help people as you did me that are sick or injured, and help them get through their troubling times, and may Scars and Cars hope to help to inspire them. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, now show me your scar.
Show us your scars!
First one, 16 staples. Here's the second one, 68 staples in that one altogether. The second time around, the first time around, there was 86 staples. Hey, it's been another great season of Scars and Cars. Thanks everybody for checking us out, and thanks to all of our guests and all those people that have helped out making Scars and Cars what it is. Stay tuned for next season. We'll see you then.